Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video with me, Shruti. You're watching Living Our Ascension. So today I want to speak about something that's going on now, and that is many of us are coming into these new relationships, what we call enlightened relationships or divine relationships. And these are relationships of all kinds. It's not only partnerships and like romantic relationships, but just relationships of all kinds. And so there's whenever we have like a wave of something new. So for example, now it's to do with relationships, the energy that's moving, the goddess as she is moving, and she's creating this new energy on the planet. It's it just so happens that at this moment a lot of that has to do within our relationships. So how to navigate this properly, because there are some themes that are coming up, as it always happens, and especially relationships can be so important because they really show us parts of ourselves. So what's becoming really important now within these new relationships is that we honor our becoming, and I'm going to explain how this is the case. But what's happening is that like I'll give you my own example. So over the past 4 or 5 years, ever since I began my awakening process, the journey, a lot of it has to do with just going within and spending a lot of time by ourselves just to become who we are, who we are at an I am level, and to embody that I am presence. So while that is still going on, the focus becomes more about ourselves. But now I'm really seeing how it's really expanding, and of course this is always the case. We're always meeting people. It's not like you're ever going to be completely alone, but we find that over the years, every single year, it becomes more and more about communities in different ways. So of course the first step to community is partnerships and relationships with one other person, and then gradually it grows and grows. And if you remember at the beginning of this year of 2018 and at the end of 2017, I made 2 videos about what we can expect this year, and a lot of it had to do with partnerships. And at that time, I remember there wasn't even any kind of partnerships that were happening in my life. I was new in this place. I live in San Francisco, and I'd just come here, I had no idea, but this was just the guidance that I got, and you can go back and watch those videos if you would like to know more. But that's exactly what I found happening now in this year in my life, which is it's always such a beautiful surprise when that happens, and you get to feel how we get to feel how connected we really are, because sometimes we don't believe it when we get guidance, and it has no we can't really see the proof in the physical at the time. But it's this year has really become all about that. And for me, for example, because it always becomes a bit clear when I give an example. So I suddenly find myself now surrounded by relationships, whereas that wasn't the case before. I was spending a lot of time by myself, with Ascension and with self-mastery, the really funny thing is that things usually, they don't just suddenly come. What happens is that we feel the need for a certain energy in our lives, and one day gradually it just kind of comes. It almost like creeps up on us and one day we're just looking around and we suddenly have it in our lives, and we remember back to the time when we first began noticing that we are desiring it. But that's how it flows. Desire creates. So when you hold a certain vibration in your heart, and I'm wearing the color of the higher heart. This is magenta, and this is the ray. The magenta ray is the ray of divine love of the higher heart, and this really is the vibration that we need to come into in order to create the new, and that which is completely pure and within the vibration of divine love. So as I was saying, things have a way of just surrounding us suddenly. And of course it happens gradually, but then one day we look around and there it is. So now suddenly I have for example, my brother, he moved here from India. You know, he's staying with us, and so that was a big change in my life, because you know, after so many years, because now his presence is constantly there, and you know, it's nice to have that. And then I also started putting myself out there more, and I have more friends here. And then, you know, also another relationship in my life, like a partnership, came in after you know, about 8 or 9 years of my life. So that was a really significant event. And this, by the way, this happened during the Pleiadian Gateway especially, which we had in the middle of May, you know, the middle towards the end, so just a while ago. And this Pleiadian Gateway really, you know, brought some of the bigger changes. But I'll be speaking about that in another video, and another Ascension update about what's going on. But for the, you know, for this one, I'm speaking about relationships. And the thing is that, you know, when a new thing lands for us, so for example, I'm finding myself suddenly now surrounded by relationships, and I have more energy for them as well, I find, you know, which I didn't before, because there was so much focus of anchoring the light just through your physical body and doing a lot of work related to that. Sometimes we don't even know what we're doing, you know, it's happening at a high level, but there was a lot more focus of that going on before, in the years before. And now I really find that I have so much more energy, enthusiasm, and a desire, you know, to share that with people in the physical as well, and not just, you know, like this online. And so this is what I've created in my life. You know, when you have that genuine desire, then it really does come through. But the thing is that when you know, we go through a new phase like this, or we go through a phase like this after a really long time, like after a significant number of years, which is the case for many of us, you know, because it's not only me, but it'll express itself in different ways. But new relationships are different from relationships that we had in the old, you know, but they were a bit different. And but even within new relationships, we are meeting people who are of, you know, light vibration, but at the same time there still can be a difference in our vibrational levels, and in just where we are, what we are accepting. So what happens is that, you know, when we have come to know ourselves a certain way, so, you know, over these past 5 years, I've come to know myself in a completely different way than I did ever in my life, you know, because I embody the I am presence, and I know what I am. But it's another level of mastery when we actually interact with other people as well, you know, and they might be embracing spirituality, they might not be embracing it, you know, there can be all kinds of different scenarios that play out. And what we need to remember is to honor where, you know, what we are, and to stay within that alignment, but at the same time be flexible to expand. Because if you are being called to put yourself out there more and to engage in more people interactions, then there's that expansion that's going on. You know, there's this vertical that we always speak about in spirituality, the straight, which is about the fact that we are an eternal being, and we are always the I am presence, you know, just complete, fully complete, and just that beautiful glowing presence, that spark of the divine. And at the same time, there's the horizontal level, you know, we are in this physical body, which means we will always be expanding, and, you know, things will always be shifting. So how to, you know, stand in the middle is to know that we are always complete, but at the same time be flexible and willing to also expand. So what's been happening is that, you know, whenever we meet others, and especially when it's coming closer and closer to our own vibration, when it's closer to that core, and this happens when we know ourselves at a core level, when we have embodied the I am presence, then the people that you meet automatically, you know, will be ones that are quite close to that vibration. And whenever that happens, when there's this such a close match, then the shadow comes up, you know, in these parts of us that we haven't fully claimed, or these parts of us, sometimes it's not even parts of us that we haven't fully claimed, it's just that it's something new, you know, so it can throw us off when it first comes up. So for example, to go back to me, you know, I've been finding myself in more social situations. So when I go out, let's say, you know, we go to a vegan restaurant or whatever, and it can be a simple thing maybe for many people out there, but this is something I haven't done in so many years. And you know, because the master makes very specific choices. This is what self-mastery is about. We start to make very, very specific choices, and we know exactly what we are and what we need to choose in alignment with that. But it's one thing to do it, you know, when you're on your own, and another when you are interacting with others. So while you're doing that, you know, some of these parts of us can come up that feel a little uncomfortable, where we feel vulnerable or we feel a bit raw, because we want to stay true to how we know ourselves, but at the same time, you know, maybe what's expected in society or what we feel sometimes is not even what other people expect, but we feel that, you know, we need to be a certain way in society, like it's almost like it's a different level, it's a different dimension, and we can feel inadequate, you know, like we don't fit in. So that is something to take care of at this moment, especially when you are stepping into new relationships. Especially at that stage, it's important to look at that, and those can really be coming up now. And the most important thing to remember here is that, you know, you might be leading a different lifestyle, you know, from other people, and so there can be certain things that where you things are a little bit different for you, you know, how you do things or how you live your life. But always honor where you are, and only when we accept ourselves for what we are fully do we allow others to love us for what we are. Because you know, if you're making excuses for yourself, which is what I found myself doing, you know, for the different lifestyle that I lead, you know, for example, I don't even have a bank account or a card, like a credit card, because like, you know, for 5 years now, because ever since I quit like this more regular job that I had, and I decided to become an Ascension guide, or, you know, change my lifestyle, I didn't really want that much to do with banks and how they're run. And so I made that decision back then, and also because I've been moving countries and everything, so I didn't feel the need for it until now. You know, now that I'm stepping out more, it's a little bit different. So these needs might be coming back that, you know, you used to have before, something that you used to do before might be coming back, because you're putting yourself out there in a different way. But while that, you know, that desire is being born within you, because it's the need of the moment, you know, now you need something different. If you're expanding and you're expanding in a new area of life, then your needs are going to be different as well. So make space for that, but also don't feel inadequate and make excuses. So for example, I found myself, you know, over explaining myself, being overly polite about these things, you know, why I don't have a credit card, and usually, you know, when it's most of the time it's us that are uneasy with ourselves, and when we are not in a state where we are accepting ourselves fully, then we don't give a chance to others to fully accept us just as we are, for what we are. And when you have that acceptance and respect for yourself, you know, it'll radiate, and there won't even be that much of a need to explain and for all of these words and everything. So remember that, you know, it's important at the beginning of these initial stages of relationships, which is really exciting. So yeah, those are basically the messages that, you know, I wanted to share with you today, is to show up as you are and let others see you just as you are, you know, because we can have built an identity around a certain image or a role, and we know ourselves as being very different, and we're very hyper aware of it. But like I said, you know, you're depriving other people as well when you don't fully just show up as you are and let them love you and accept you just where you are. And to know that, you know, you will always be, because we can have this need to be perfect all the time, and especially those who embrace like a spiritual journey, you know, they go through this pure process of purification. But you know, there's, like I always say, there's no such thing as perfection at, you know, that looks like that. We are always going to be expanding, but we are always perfect within that. So that is something that we really have to accept. And whenever we are not fully accepting ourselves and just what we are in the moment, that, you know, that is enough wherever we are, we can get self-deprecating, we can get a little bit needy, you know, and this can show through in our relationships and kind of prevent us from developing that intimacy that we, you know, want with another person. Because then it's kind of like, you know, when we are over-explaining or being polite, then it almost like builds a wall, you know, with the other person, because you're kind of letting the other person know that, you know, this is my insecurity, and almost like you want them to validate you. And so when we're doing this, then the relationship becomes like that, you know, the dynamic becomes that. So it's important to recognize when these are coming up, especially they will be coming up when we are especially when we are interacting with those who are close to our frequency. And yeah, in this video, basically, I just wanted to bring that up, you know, in case that's something you haven't recognized in yourself, then to do that and just enjoy these beautiful relationships that are blossoming. And, you know, we deserve all of this love, this divine love, and these new relationships and communities that we are building. So that's it for this video. And please check out my Facebook and my website if you would like to see. I'll probably be writing, you know, a post, because I wrote down like a poem or an article also on this subject. So I share things like that I can't really through video. So all of that will be linked below. And I did also want to announce that, you know, I'm changing some things around a little bit on this channel. I'm no longer guided to do everyday guidance videos like I used to, because, you know, things become monotonous, and I've been doing them for a while. And even before I was doing them on video, I was still doing them on Facebook. It's been I don't even know, maybe 3.5 years now. So no more daily guidance. I'm not guided to do that anymore. I'm guided to change things up a little bit. So, you know, every day I'll see how it flows and how things want to be expressed. But I am guided to make more videos, you know, like this one, which are more where I'm just speaking rather than delivering guidance that has been channeled. And however, there will be guidance from time to time when I feel, you know, that there's a need for it. So all of that, you can find that on my Facebook or Instagram communities. If you're on there, please check out Living Our Ascension. The exact links will be below this video. And also have a look at all of my personal services that I offer. I have Skype sessions that you can have with me personally for any spiritual needs, for accelerating the spiritual path as well. Also different kinds of art-based services that I have, like soul portraits and cosmic portraits, which can be really beneficial to come into, you know, our soul codes and to be able to live that frequency on the planet. And it's really beautiful when we have the, you know, that kind of remembrance. And then the other thing that I do is also inner child healing, which I really enjoy doing, because that really takes us to the core of all of those patterns that we are holding. So whether they are related to our relationships or anything else in life, but it really brings it to the surface, and, you know, we can clearly see it. And that program, we closely follow that and monitor it, and we come into a space then by the end of it where we know what actions to take in the physical, and it can be really potent. So yeah, that's it from me for today, and hopefully I'll see you again with another video. I think I don't want to promise anything yet, but I think it should be you know, some things that have shifted since the Pleiadian gateway. That was a galactic gateway that happened recently, and I actually wasn't guided to be too much online, even though there was so much happening, because there's just so much shifting in my personal life. So I needed to anchor that first. But hopefully, you know, that video should be coming up soon. So be subscribed to this channel, which you can do below this video. And that's it. I will see you very soon.